As the Creator Lord, Hanju couldn't tell which Tao creators could reach the Creator Lord realm, but he could see how many Tao creators there were in the future. Karma kept changing and the number of future Tao creators kept increasing. The future in which Hong Liang and Ji Xianshan became Tao creators was very distant. Ji Xianshan severed karma after he entered the origin spacetime. However, Hanju saw him appear spacetime again, but the karma that had been severed wouldn't recover. Because of his appearance, Heavenly Venerate Sun was previously related to Ji Xianshan. The two of them were now colluding and had even taken in the future Hong Liang. The gray-robed man who had captured Hong Liang was the future Hong Liang. Now that Hong Liang was in Hanju's hands, it was very difficult for the three of them to succeed in the future. If he was really forced, Hanju could directly destroy the entire spacetime and recreate everything. A Tao creator could also destroy everything below the Tao creator realm. The reason why it didn't happen before was that there were too many Tao creators and they restrained each other. However, Hanju could be fearless as the only creator lord in existence. However, since he could reach the creator lord realm in hundreds of millions of years, there might be a second example in the future. Therefore, he couldn't cultivate in seclusion for too long. In the future, it would not only be Ji Xianshan, Hong Liang, and Heavenly Venerate Sun. The other Tao creators would also be the same. There were almost no independent Tao creators. Hanju looked at Hong Liang for a while before continuing to cultivate. The three of them could not do anything. The reason why they kept traveling through space and time was that the existence that would suppress them in the future was another Tao creator faction, the three primordial fiend celestials. It was precisely because of this that Heavenly Venerate Sun did not dare to interfere in the three fiend celestials past, afraid that he would disturb them and cause them to pursue him from the future. The disciples in the Tao field came and went. Hong Liang's existence was also known by the entire hidden sect. They all knew that he was the Divine Might Heavenly Sage's grandson and was doted on. He was personally taught by the Divine Might Heavenly Sage. Hong Liang's name began to spread in the Endless Era. The evil Heavenly Emperor couldn't help but visit Hanju in his dreams. But he rejected him. Hong Liang was very important. Hanju was afraid that the evil Heavenly Emperor couldn't control him. Time passed quickly. Hong Liang became stronger day after day, while Chu Shaoqi was still struggling in the immortal world. Chu Shaoqi and Chen Zhu were two vastly different characters. No one expected them to be related by blood. After parting with Chu Shaoqi, Hanju didn't care too much about him. In any case, this kid could reincarnate even if he died. He had already helped enough in this life. He still had to walk the path of life himself. Of course, part of it was because of Han Liang. He had another grandson now. 10,000 years passed like smoke. On this day, Hanju was teaching Hong Liang in the Taoist temple. Hong Liang was still so short. He looked like he was in his teens. It was difficult to imagine that he was already 10,000 years old. Hong Liang sat in front of him with a vexed expression. He really couldn't understand the mystical power Hanju had just taught. It was normal to find it difficult to understand because Hanju was teaching the ultimate origin heaven seal. Hong Liang did not have the ultimate origin power, so he would create his own heaven seal. So far, Hong Liang's race had yet to be named. The name was very important, especially for such a creation race, so Hanju didn't take the initiative and let Hong Liang discover and define it himself. Hanju used his Tao voice to help Hong Liang as his brows quickly relaxed. At this moment, Hanju seemed to sense something. He left a clone in the Taoist temple and his main body jumped out of the Tao field. he came to the Tao mystic realm and arrived at an immortal world. At this moment, the divine clan was attacking the nearby devil world. The Tao mystic realm had been established. For a period of time, the various worlds in the mystic realm had already begun to interact. The so-called devil world was actually another divine clan. If they did not define the enemy as the devil race, it would not be easy to mobilize morale. As an immortal god, 초초수련천년 naturally had to participate. At this moment, he was targeted. What targeted him was not the living beings of the two worlds, but an existence that surpassed the Tao mystic realm. Durante. 초초수련천년 traveled through the starry sky in an extremely sorry state. No matter where he fled, every time he turned around, Durante would follow behind him, scaring him so much that he continued to escape. Durante kept chasing after 초초수련천년. As he thought to himself, where did this kid? After the Tao mystic realm was established for a period of time, Durante also personally checked the Tao mystic realm. 초초수련천년 attracted him. His potential was average, but he could not deduce this person's future. If it were any other mighty figure, they would probably not notice 초초수련천. However, Durante was once a calamity life controller and was extremely sensitive to this. He felt that 초초수련천 was definitely not simple. After being chased for a long time, 초초수련천 suddenly stopped and cursed. "Dog, kill me already. Stop humiliating me." He was considered firm, but he still trembled in fear when Durante appeared in front of him. Durante wore a dignified black robe with the figure of the primordial fiend Celestial printed on it. His aura was definitely the strongest existence 초초수련천 had ever seen. He was even stronger than his grandfather and the master of the divine clan. In front of such an existence, he, 초초수련천, could not escape at all. However, 초초수련천 still wanted to die heroically. Unfortunately, he still couldn't find Tangwan or see his grandfather again. After 10,000 years, 초초수련천's impression of Tangwan and his grandfather was no longer that deep. He was already independent, but he still missed them occasionally. Durante asked, "Tell me about your life." 초초수련천 cursed. "Just search my soul if you have the ability." Durante immediately reached out. chochosu련천 froze and could not move. However, Durante searched for 초초수련천's memories but found nothing. It was as if they were blank. He was shocked. Tao creator. Creator. If he was really a Tao creator, he would definitely be warned and might even die. But no. Only one possibility. The other party tolerated him. Durante immediately retracted his hand. chochosu련천 woke up and looked at him warily. chochosu련천 was stunned. He couldn't believe his ears. This twist. Durante stared at him and said, "It's difficult for you to escape this world with your current potential. As for me, I can bring you to a higher sky. Think about it carefully. I won't kill you even if you refuse. Farewell." chochosu련천's heart beat faster. No wonder this fellow did not kill him previously. chochosu련천 took a deep breath and asked, "What's your cultivation level? Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal? Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal?" Ha 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 ha. Durante laughed wantonly, his tone filled with disdain and mockery. chochosu련천 was shocked. To be so disdainful of the legendary Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal, could this person be an illusory sage in the legends? if he did not capture such a mighty figure. Ever since he left his grandfather, although he had encountered opportunities, they were not opportunities that could allow him to be reborn. He gradually realized his mediocreness, but he had always been holding back his anger, something called unwillingness. Chu gritted his teeth and asked, "Why do you think highly of me?" Huang Zuntian said bluntly, "You had a great opportunity in your previous life. Your providence is unpredictable. Perhaps you're very weak now, but I feel that you might be extraordinary in the future. Perhaps I'm the benefactor who will help you soar. It depends on whether you're willing to believe me." Chu Shaoqi couldn't help but think of the grandfather he had met when he was young. Could it be that his grandfather had also taken a liking to him because of his providence? Indeed, I was born extraordinary. Chu Shaoqi hesitated for a moment but still chose to follow Huang Zuntian. The reason was very simple. He could no longer grow in the divine clan. He deeply realized how weak he was in this war between the gods and devils. Chenju's attacks were unstoppable. In contrast, he was only cannon fodder. They clearly entered the divine race in the same batch, and Chenju was the same age as him. Huang Zuntian said, "I'll show you how tiny you are first." He waved his right hand and brought Chu Shaoqi to the top of the Tao mystic realm. Chu Shaoqi looked down and saw countless grains of light scattered in all directions. And the netherworld, Huang Zuntian introduced, causing Chu Shaoqi's eyes to widen. How big was the immortal world he was in? From this angle, it was actually so small. Huang Zuntian brought him out of the Tao mystic realm and arrived at the blank domain. Unlike the universe in the Tao mystic realm, the starry sky was pale, but there were still dense lights of various colors dotted in all directions. Where we were just now is one of the worlds. Below, it contains the small world I introduced to you earlier. There are as many as stars. Huang Zuntian's introduction shocked Chu Shaoqi. A heaven beyond the heavens. This was Chu Shaoqi's feeling now. At this moment, a figure appeared in front of Huang Zuntian, scaring Chu Shaoqi so much that he took a step back. It was the master of the Tao mystic realm, formless world, the 10 absolute prodigy of the first chaotic assembly. Formless world looked even more dignified than before. Its aura was not inferior to Huang Zuntian's. Formless world sized up Chu Shaoqi, making him extremely nervous. He had no choice but to hide behind Huang Zuntian. This child's foundation is average. It's only you. Hard to predict his fate. It's because of Chu Shaoqi was isolated by the former. Other than a Tao creator, the other existences could not spy from afar. Huang Zuntian said, "Yes, he's my disciple. I plan to nurture him and leave him in your Tao mystic realm. You have no objections, right?" Formless world smiled. "Of course. I'll take care of him. There's no need for that. Let him grow up on his own. When he grows up, he will owe you a favor, and so will I." Fellow Taoist, you must be joking. What favor can we owe each other? Formless world smiled and disappeared. This was what he wanted to say, so he did not stay any longer to prevent Huang Zuntian from returning. After all, Huang Zuntian's primordial chaos was more suitable for cultivation than the Tao mystic realm. There was no need to let Chu Shaoqi stay here. Chu Shaoqi swallowed and asked carefully, "Who was that just now?" Huang Zuntian said indifferently, "You're not qualified to interact with him." "TCH, like my grandfather." Chu Shaoqi curled her lips. Oh? Who's your grandfather? Huang Zuntian asked curiously. Someone I met when I was young. I don't know his identity, either. Chu Shaoqi didn't think too much and replied directly. With Huang Zuntian's cultivation level, he shouldn't lie to him. Besides, Han Ju didn't ask him not to say anything about their interactions. At least, there was no such scene in Chu Shaoqi's memories. In any case, more than 10,000 years had passed and this experience was no longer important. Then show me his appearance, Huang Zuntian instructed. Chu Shaoqi waved his hand, and a figure shining with divine light appeared in front of him. He was stunned and cast another spell. No matter how he cast his spell, he could not show the face in his mind. This feeling was extremely strange, causing Chu Shaoqi's blood to run cold. Huang Zuntian was stunned. It was really him. Huang Zuntian said in a low voice, "All right. From now on, don't tell anyone about your experience with this person. Just pretend that this grandfather never existed, understand?" Chu Shaoqi retracted his hand and nodded. He muttered in his heart. His grandfather did not seem simple. Even such an existence was so afraid. Chu Shaoqi was about to ask Huang Zuntian if he knew his grandfather, but he waved his hand and brought him back to the immortal world. The two of them landed in a forest. Without waiting for Chu Shaoqi to say anything, Huang Zuntian began to teach him a cultivation technique. Chu Shaoqi's cultivation technique was too ordinary. Cultivating to the zenith heaven golden immortal realm was already the limit. Huang Zuntian prepared to teach Chu Shaoqi his legacy. Since he was someone that master valued, he would teach him everything. Han Ju stood in the blank domain and witnessed Huang Zuntian's performance. Not bad. It was good to let Chu Shaoqi follow him. He had walked a heaven-defying path. If Chu Shaoqi followed him, he might be able to learn a lot. Han Ju stared at Chu Shaoqi and sighed. The two grandsons he had personally taken care of were not good people. One was primordial despair's reincarnation, and the other wanted to destroy everything. He wondered how their future relationship would be. Han Ju suddenly looked forward to it. It would be interesting even if they became opponents. As for Chen Ju, whom Chu Shaoqi respected, Han Ju didn't care about him. Chen Ju was only one of his countless descendants. He was just lucky to receive the creation heavens chosen. It was nothing much. More descendants would obtain the creation heavens chosen in the future. Han Ju watched for a while before disappearing. On the other side, in the primordial hall, Han Huang opened his eyes and frowned. Why can't my primordial chaos condense? The supreme rules, Han Huang muttered to himself in frustration. Only a world with rules was considered a world. Only a world with great Tao rules was considered a world. The same was true of the great Tao world. However, to reach the Tao creator realm, the great Tao world had to condense supreme rules. Ever since the great Tao immeasurable calamity ended, although Han Huang had obtained a huge opportunity, he discovered that it was very difficult for his cultivation level to increase, as if he had already reached his limit. He was a primordial fiend celestial. How could he have a limit? Could it be that the potential of those Tao creators was stronger than his? Impossible! Han Huang fell into deep thought. Could it be that he had killed too many people, causing the primordial chaos to be unable to transform? However, he had observed the other great Tao worlds. Other than the great Tao world of the Tao creator, the other great Tao worlds could not successfully condense the supreme rules. In other words, the existences at the perfected great Tao supreme realm were temporarily on the same starting line. The Tao creators did not guide the great Tao supremes. Even if their own people asked, they would only answer, "The path to." Just as Han Huang was feeling frustrated, footsteps came from the darkness beside him. A figure slowly walked over. Han Huang was not surprised. He didn't even turn around. It takes time to condense your great Tao world. How long did it take the chaos to evolve? How long has your primordial chaos been evolving? The red-eyed black shadow smiled with a mocking tone. Han Huang snorted. "I know. But even if it takes time, you can at least sense the progress, right?" The red-eyed black shadow said, "There are a total of 5 Tao creators now. Your father is one of them. Why don't you ask him for guidance?" Han Huang sighed. "How can I have the face to look for him again?" He was not Shuxiaoqi. He was born to be strong. With his unparalleled talent, if he could not rely on his father, he would try his best not to. The red-eyed black shadow snorted. "How pretentious. Your body was given by your parents and your father saved you many times. Do you really think you relied on yourself? You started from the beginning and reason why you can't succeed." Han Huang's expression instantly turned ugly, but he was not angry. The red-eyed black shadow continued to mock him. "Now there are 3 primordial fiend celestials, you, primordial origin, and Huang Zuantian. Your potential is no longer unique. Put down your arrogance." "So what if I let go of my arrogance? If father could guide the path of a Tao creator, the hidden sect would have long produced a second Tao creator. It's the same for the other Tao creators. Perhaps they don't want anyone to reach the Tao creator realm, even if they're on their side. Because the Tao creator realm is supreme, there are very few of them." Han Huang was silent. The red-eyed black shadow did not say anything else and retreated into the darkness. The hall was silent. Han Huang slowly stood up. His gaze darkened as he muttered, "Perhaps I should really look for father." He disappeared into the hall. Several days later, Hanju received Han Huang. Han Huang asked about the method to attain the Tao. Hanju didn't say anything else and directly preached the Tao, telling him his creation experience. Hanju was naturally not stingy with his son. However, the Tao creator's method to attain the Tao was extremely difficult. It was useless to know how to build the great Tao world. After all, every great Tao world was different. If one wanted to attain the Tao, one had to rely on potential or epiphany. Tao creator with the potential of the ultimate origin fiend celestial. It was not difficult. However, he couldn't tell Han Huang this directly. After a long time, when Hanju finished speaking, Han Huang woke up. He hurriedly bowed to express his gratitude. The father and son did not exchange pleasantries. Han Huang left. Hanju couldn't help but shake his head. Upon seeing Han Huang's excited expression, will he hate me if he still fails? Hanju had already seen Han Huang develop mental demons. This kid even created mental demons into clones and often talked to them. This time, Han Huang came because the mental demon clone persuaded him. It was not impossible for father and son to fight. Hanju looked at the future. Han Huang's future continued until he reached the Tao creator realm. Although he had always treated him as a target, he had never crossed the line with him. The future was endless. Hanju retracted his gaze and continued cultivating. He suddenly felt that time passed very slowly ever since the great Tao immeasurable calamity ended. Perhaps his cultivation level had increased too slowly, causing his cultivation passion to decrease greatly. No! He could not be numbed. Those Tao creators were so relaxed, causing them to be unable to improve. However, he couldn't cultivate blindly. The ninth chaos buried his head in cultivation and gave Hanju a chance to rise. The ninth chaos probably couldn't understand even until his death. He had only taken a nap. Why did he give Hanju a chance? How did Hanju create a Tao field that even a Tao creator couldn't enter in so little time? Hanju needed to cultivate, but he couldn't cultivate too much. He looked at the corner where a ball of gray chi floated. It was the ninth chaos will. It was being enslaved by the ultimate origin heavenly prison. The disciples entering and leaving did not sense anything special about the gray chi. Han Liang was once curious about it, but he was chased away by Hanju and never dared to approach it again. Han Liang was not afraid of anything but Hanju. Perhaps it was his bloodline suppression. The ultimate origin Fian Celestial's bloodline was stronger than his bloodline, after all. Under the old tree, Han Liang opened his eyes and looked angrily at a man beside him. Was Hanju's grand disciple, Murongqi. Didn't you agree to have the same cultivation level as me? Han Liang said angrily as he clenched his fists. Murong. Chi smiled. Yes, I did suppress my cultivation, but the difference between bodies can't be suppressed. Han Liang turned his head away, looking like he would not listen. Why are you leaving? I've never played it before. Forget it. You can't afford it. No, Brother Murong, I was wrong. Han Liang hugged Murongqi's right leg and said pitifully. Murongqi had no choice but to sit back down. Han Liang was now the favored son of the entire Tao field. Because of his temperament and body, everyone liked him. Brother Murong, can you tell me about the outside world? Don't you often wander outside? Han Liang asked curiously and stopped the simulation trial. He did not like to be tortured, either. Murongqi did not hide anything. He talked about his experiences outside. Sometimes, he was excited, sometimes he sighed. Han Liang widened his eyes and clenched his fists, exclaiming, Han Liang, do you want to go out too? Murongqi rubbed Han Liang's head and asked with a smile. Han Liang nodded. Of course. I'm already tired of staying in the Tao field, but Grandpa doesn't let me out. Murongqi smiled. Indeed, we shouldn't go out. Once we go out, it's very difficult to return. It's not only that you don't want to return, but your grandfather won't let you cultivate beside him anymore. The greatest opportunity in the world is your grandfather. You have to think about it. Han Liang tilted his head and fell into deep thought. Life. You have to find the true meaning of your life. Han Liang said in a low voice, I want to go to a place that has never been discovered. A place that has never been discovered? Murongqi couldn't help but laugh. Was there anything in the world that his grandfather did not know? Your grandfather is the strongest. Han Liang said with a yearning expression, I've been thinking about how high the sky is and how far the surroundings are. Brother Murong, I keep feeling that something is summoning me from afar. Murongqi smiled. Then cultivate well. With your current cultivation level, it won't be long before you're eaten alive. TCH, you only know how to scare me. How many people in the simulation trial are you unable to defeat? This is only our Tao field. Think about how many people are outside. But I can't see those people in the Tao field. They must be outsiders. You're quite smart. Of course. The two of them chatted casually. Han Liang couldn't leave the Tao field without Hanju's approval. It was useless, even if he begged Murongchi. After Murongchi left, other disciples. They were both biological grandsons, but Chu Shaoqi was not so lucky. Huang Zuantian left after passing down his legacy to Chu Shaoqi, leaving him to wander alone. Under Huang Zuantian's instructions, Chu Shaoqi resigned from the position of immortal god. This caused the divine clan to be dissatisfied. If the immortal gods wanted to retreat, what dignity would the divine clan have? Therefore, Chu Shaoqi was hunted down. Chu Shaoqi regretted it. He had a good impression of the divine clan, so he went back to say goodbye. If he had known earlier, he would have pretended to be dead and fled. In any case, the divine clan might not remember him. Chu Shaoqi had been reborn after obtaining Huang Zuantian's inheritance. Ordinary immortals were not his match at all. Under the pursuit of the divine race, Chu Shaoqi became famous until he met Chenju. Because Chu Shaoqi was difficult to deal with, the divine clan had no choice but to send Chenju. Chu Shaoqi had special feelings for Chenju before. Even if Chenju did not know him, he still felt very pressured when he blocked his way. Chu Shaoqi, surrender! Chenju wore the silver armor of the divine clan and had phoenix wings on his crown. His cloak fluttered in the air. Just his aura was enough to make people think of the words war god. Chu Shaoqi's appearance was also outstanding, but he would always feel ashamed in front of Chenju. Chenju frowned. On account that we are the same batch of immortals, I don't want to attack you. Surrender! He continued to approach Chu Shaoqi. A strange black pattern suddenly appeared between Chu Shaoqi's eyebrows. Calamity Life Controller, he had actually been given the Great Tao Providence Divine Authority by Huang Zuantian. Chu Shaoqi planned to go all out as he faced the famous Chenju. Chu Shaoqi's speed was extremely fast. Before Chenju could react, he attacked from behind him and waved his palm. This palm struck out thousands of stars and quickly expanded. The rapidly expanding stars collided with Chenju and sent him flying into the sky. Boom! 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 Chenju was caught off guard and fell to the ends of the world. These stars were all as big as mountains. They exploded the moment they hit Chenju. Chenju was unable to withstand it. This kid... Chenju was shocked and had no choice but to use his mystical power to dodge. Just as he appeared, another star collided with him, followed by countless stars, making him dizzy. Chenju continued to move, but no matter how he moved, the stars chased after him. This was Chu Shaoqi's special ability as a Calamity Life Controller. Every Calamity Life Controller would obtain their own special ability when they obtained the Great Tao Providence Divine Authority. It was equivalent to an innate mystical power. Chu Shaoqi could already use his ability proficiently. He felt that it was very domineering and almost invincible. Chenju was suppressed. These stars were made with his dermic powers. They were no different from true stars. After Huang Zuantian's guidance, Chu Shaoqi and Chenju's cultivation levels were already very close, so his mystical power was enough to suppress the latter. I'm too strong. Chu Shaoqi was excited. Huang Zuantian's image in his hard sword. The mystical power his master had taught him could even suppress Chenju. Chu Shaoqi was satisfied and was not in a hurry to escape. He kept using his mystical powers and pressed Chenju to the ground. Soon, his divine armor shattered and he was covered in blood. He was in an extremely sorry state. Chenju was also extremely angry. These stars were too annoying. They were simply his counter, making him unable to counterattack. Chu suddenly couldn't bear it. After all, when Chenju first found him, he did not directly attack. After thinking about it, Chu retracted his hand and transformed into a beam of light that disappeared into the sky. However, Chenju rushed out of the ruins and chased after him again. In terms of speed, Chu was far inferior to Chenju. After Chenju caught up, Chu used his mystical power to suppress him again. Chu panicked as the cycle repeated. Although Chenju could not defeat him, he could not kill him either. His dermic powers were about to be exhausted, but Chenju was still at his peak. Impossible! Was this fellow's dermic powers endless? Chu roared in his heart as jealousy surged. Talent! He knew that the amount of dermic powers was not only related to cultivation techniques but also potential. At the same realm, the dermic powers of a prodigy far exceeded ordinary potential. In the end, Chenju's divine spear pierced through the sky and space when Chu Shaoqi's dermic powers were about to be exhausted. It pierced through Chu Shaoqi, causing blood to burst out. Chu Shaoqi fell and smashed into the sea below, startling thousands of feet of waves. Chu Shaoqi's consciousness faded. He could vaguely see a figure crashing through the sea and swimming towards him. Damn it! I'm still too weak. Chu Shaoqi sighed. If he couldn't even defeat Chenju, how could he jump out of the immortal world and admire the higher sky? He thought of his grandfather and Tangwan. Indignant. He was really indignant. Although he was unwilling to give up, Chu Shaoqi had already reached his limit. He fell unconscious. In the Dao field, Hanju opened his eyes and sighed faintly. Han Liang opened his eyes and looked at his grandfather curiously. Grandpa rarely sighed. He wanted to ask, but he was afraid of being scolded. Hanju smiled and asked, "You have a brother who is training outside and has no one to help him. He's about to die. Do you think I should help him?" Han Liang widened his eyes and suddenly stood up. "Of course, you have to help him. Grandpa, bring me along. If anyone dares to bully my brother, I'll tear them apart." "Hee hee, you want to go out?" "No way." "So be it, but Grandpa, you have to save him. If you don't save him, you definitely won't save me if anything happens to me in the future." Han Liang curled his lips and pretended to be aggrieved. Hanju smiled. "Aren't you afraid that he's stronger than you?" Han Liang scratched his head. "So what if he's stronger than me? Many people in the hidden sect are stronger than me." Hanju sensed that he was telling the truth and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was this kid's talent misdirected? Wasn't he born with the instinct to destroy everything? "Grandpa, hurry up. Don't miss the opportunity." Han Liang came to Hanju's side and shook his arm. He looked like a spoiled child, not like a little boy, but more like a girl. Hanju smiled and said, "He was already saved while we were talking." Han Liang's eyes widened. "Who saved him?" "Of course it was me." "Wow, Grandpa, you didn't move just now. Could it be that you have a clone?" "Grandpa can save him with a thought." "Wow." Hanju pulled Han Liang into his arms and rubbed his head. He smiled and said, "You have many siblings, but most of them are far younger than you. They might not be that close to you, but in my eyes, your potential is the best. In the future, you have to protect your siblings and juniors, understand?" Han Liang was overjoyed. His grandfather's praise was higher than any achievement. He nodded enthusiastically and patted his chest, promising. So far, Han Liang's performance was still quite satisfactory. Primordial Hall. Han Huang opened his eyes and frowned. He muttered, "Why doesn't it work?" The red-dyed black shadow walked out of the darkness and smiled. "This means that your father doesn't want to guide you at all. Like the other Tao creators, they don't want a new Tao creator to appear. This is also the reason why your father hid in the Tao field after attaining the Tao." Han Huang snorted. "My father isn't like this. That means that your father's method cannot be used again. Everyone has their own path. Perhaps your limit is the Great Tao Supreme Realm. Don't think that the primordial fiend celestial is unparalleled in the world. Don't forget, the chaos replaced the primordial chaos. The primordial chaos potential should be weaker than the chaos. However, you use all the living beings in the chaos as your standard. The true standard is the ninth chaos who created the chaos, the once strongest Tao creator." The red-dyed black shadow's words made Han Huang silent and fall into self-doubt. He thought of the power he had relied on previously. It was his father's Dermic powers. His primordial fiend celestial bloodline was also given to him by his father. Was there a possibility? Actually, he was not a primordial fiend celestial at all. Furthermore, his mother couldn't give birth to him. Instead, his father sacrificed his bloodline to cause his birth. Not a true primordial fiend celestial. Or rather, the primordial fiend celestial can't reach the Tao creator realm at all. Father broke through a higher bloodline restriction. Han Huang was enlightened and felt relieved. The red-dyed black shadow saw his expression and smiled like a crescent moon before disappearing into the darkness. Han Huang relaxed a lot after he put down the burden of the primordial fiend celestial. He stood up and smiled. "I'm confused. How can I create my own great Tao world if I don't see the various forms of all living beings? Perhaps my bias is too deep, that's why I can't create my own great Tao world." He stepped forward and walked towards the door. Primordial chaos. What is the primordial chaos? Han Huang's voice became softer and softer as his figure walked further and further away. The blue sky and blue sea were cloudless. Cliff after cliff cut through the endless sea. Countless waves slapped the mountain wall, stirring up countless white waves. Chu Shaoqi and Chenju sat at the edge of the cliff. Chu Shaoqi stretched lazily and looked at Chenju beside him. He smiled and said, "I didn't expect this, I didn't expect this." Chenju changed into a green robe and looked at the sky calmly. The sea breeze blew his hair, making him look extremely carefree. Even Chu Shaoqi was a little jealous. In terms of handsomeness, this man was second only to his grandfather. "Why did you save me? Why did you betray the divine clan with me?" Chu Shaoqi asked curiously. He thought that he was doomed. Unexpectedly, when he opened his eyes, he discovered that he was not dead. Chenju had saved him and even said that he would betray the immortals with him. Chenju said calmly, "I don't have a good impression of the immortal gods, to begin with. I just treated them as a springboard. As for you, you're the stupidest person I've ever seen. Clearly, no immortal god remembers you, but you still came back to tell them you were leaving. You're simply a fool. However, your strength is not bad. I see you in a different light." Chu Shaoqi curled his lips. How true. However, Chenju was indeed powerful. In any case, Chu Shaoqi was convinced. He asked curiously, "Then, what do you plan to do next? What are your plans?" "Of course, I'm gonna wander the world." "Me too." "So, you really want to follow me?" "The fact that you dare to return means that you are responsible. You dare to face the pursuit of the immortal gods and not surrender." Such spirit is qualified to follow me. Follow you? TCH, you should be the one following me. The two of them began to bicker. The two of them looked at each other, but their lips were actually curled up. Xuxiaoqi was very happy. It had been a long. Actually, he had chosen Xuxiaoqi because, in the previous battle, Xuxiaoqi had no intention of killing him. In the first half of the battle, he had been beaten. He could sense that Xuxiaoqi had an even stronger power that had yet to erupt. It was not only Xuxiaoqi. Chenju couldn't bear to kill him, either. This feeling was ridiculous. In fact, from the moment the two of them met, Chenju had a deep impression of Xuxiaoqi. Xuxiaoqi was secretly observing him, and so was he. It was precisely because of this that he especially accepted the mission to hunt him down. Somehow, the two of them seemed to be fated. For the time being, Chenju could not think that this fate might be a trap because he and Xuxiaoqi had no karma in the past. Chenju, what's your cultivation goal? You first. I want to see the scenery of the world. I want. Chenju curled his lips and talked about his goal in high spirits. Xuxiaoqi regained his chatterbox personality and bragged non-stop. Far away in the third Dao field, Hanju slowly smiled. He was cultivating, and so was Han Liang. No one noticed that the corners of his mouth were lifted. In the eyes of invincible people, fate in this world was karma. Shaoqi and Chenju was because of Fang Liang and Ji Xianshen. Some friendships could last a long time. Hanju could see through Chenju's personality at a glance. It was worth handing Xuxiaoqi over to him. Xuxiaoqi could give his back to Chenju. Hooking up with Xuxiaoqi was equivalent to having Han Huang as a backing. Han Huang was a future Dao creator. Such a background was definitely worth giving up everything. Although Chenju had the heavens chosen creation, he would have many such descendants in the future. The difference in seniority was too great. Furthermore, Hanju was prepared to accumulate a large number of heavens chosen creation attempts.